So here are some examples of how the scoby is going to grow inside your sugary tea. So the oxygen can come in from the top through the paper or the textile. And what you can see is that where the surface of the liquid touches the oxygen, a little film of cellulose, bacterial cellulose, is going to form. And at first you won't really see it so well, but after a while you can really see this like beige, whitish pellicle appear. This, if it's happy and growing well, after a week maybe it should be this thickness. This is about 1/2 centimeter, I would say. And what is really important, especially in the beginning, is that you don't touch or move the jar when it's growing, especially early beginning, because when this is a very thin and fragile pellicle, it's going to be very easy to kind of disintegrate when you shake it or stir it or move it. So if you live in a shared house, for example, it's probably wise to label it very carefully and let your housemates know that you're growing something here, and that you want to ask them not to move it around, or you can kind of beat them to it and make sure it's in the back of a cupboard where nobody usually goes. It's also wise to maybe excuse yourself for the smell, because this is going to get very stinky. It's gonna smell a bit like a vinegar farm. Some people take it really well, other people hate it. I just had Corona a while ago and my smell hasn't returned completely, so it really doesn't bother me so much. But some people can't take it, and I won't hold it against you if you really dislike the smell. So this is about 1 week. And this one is not so happy. It's been standing for about 2 weeks, was going really slow. It's nice to show though, because it's a bit purple, because this is one I've been growing on red wine. So you can see what that looks like eventually. So this is also about a half centimeter thick, but this has been growing for 3 weeks. So it's not so happy, but I can show you some issues here. What you can see is that this started creating gases and bubbles. So it's kind of like making bubbles underneath my pellicle, pushing it up into the air. And when there's air underneath the pellicle, it cannot get any nutrients from the liquid anymore, so it's going to stop growing. And what you can do to try to avoid this is take a clean stick or a clean spoon and try to gently push it down or make a little opening at the edge so the air can go away from underneath, so it can sit on the liquid again. But there's always a bit of a risk that it's going to sink. And if it sinks, the forming of the pellicle has to start over again. So you don't have to throw it away, you just have to wait for a new pellicle to grow. So that's my wine example. This is interesting to show. Ooh, this is a bit big. This is my scoby hotel. So basically, this is my lazy jar where I'm kind of collecting all these scoby pellicles. If I don't have time to dry them into leather sheets, I just all stick them in here, make sure they're all the way underneath the liquid surface. And then from time to time you want to add a bit of sugary tea here as well. And it's again gonna grow, it's gonna grow a pellicle. I don't know if you can see that, but it's growing a pellicle on the top again. So there's a few kilos of scobies in here that I'm happy to share if you need anything. And then this one is just, I don't know, this is just a monster. This is the biggest one I've seen. I don't know what's gonna happen if I dry this. This is, I think 3 centimeters thick, which is really thick, and I'm quite excited to see what happens when I dry this. But it's gonna stop growing now because this one also starts to float around. See that? See the bubbles? So I'm gonna have to take that out soon. Generally, how do you know when your scoby is ready? Okay, let me just stop there.